will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Wayne Westland Parade Council will lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mayor Rowe.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Present.
Councilman Racy.
Here.
Councilman Porter.
Here.
Councilman Gabriel.
Present.
Councilman Webster.
Here.
You do have a quorum with all 7 members present, or all 6 members present. Thank you, I'm used to saying that. The first item is the administration of oath of office to our new firefighter, Tavis Bramer. So if you'd like to come up, Tavis. Item 1 is approve the agenda. I did want to just call out a few things that are different from Friday's agenda that you received with the packet. Items 7A and B I combined into one resolution, so it'll be the budget and the water rates are all in one resolution, and then added item 7F regarding the city council vacancy. So I can take a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Councilman Webster. Any changes, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I don't think your mics are on.
Hello? Green light is on. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Item 2 are the City Council minutes. Item 2A are the regular meeting minutes of May 1st.
Wish of council?
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Webster. Are there any additions, deletions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 3, presentations. Item 3A is a presentation by the Wayne Westland Veterans Parade Council. I believe Heather Robertson.
Mayor Rowe and the, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council and the citizens of Wayne, I hate to come to you like this, but we don't have a choice. I come before you today representing the Wayne Westland Veterans Parade Council. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Heather Robertson Mitchell. And in 2008, after the passing of my dad, Bruce Robertson, who was the previous coordinator, I took his place and have volunteered to be the parade coordinator for the Wayne Westland Veterans Memorial Parade for 10 of the last 21 memorable years. Over the last few years, the council has fought to make this parade the best that we could do to honor our military and also keep the interest of the public that come to watch and support our military. Due to the lack of participation, we are forced to cancel this year's parade, which was scheduled on the 27th of May. A lot of time is put into the planning and preparation of this parade, which has gone from taking 6 months to now 11 months of preparation. Over 200 invitations to participate in this year's parade were sent out to local veteran and civic organizations, but as of the May 1st cutoff date, only 15 responses were received. And at this time, we would like to thank those 15 loyal organizations. This year, we also sent out special letters in hopes of doing a memorial ceremony at Gowdy Park in downtown Wayne next year. These letters included questionnaires pertaining to the proposed event. To date, only 5 questionnaires have been returned, and none of them were filled out completely enough to determine if they were even interested in attending or participating in such event. I'd like to let you know that we are going to try and go ahead with it, though, if at all possible. I'd like to state that we as a committee have exhausted every effort to salvage this parade, but sadly there's just not enough participants willing to set aside time to help us honor our veterans who have sacrificed their lives to give us the freedoms that we enjoy today. Both mayors of Wayne and Westland and both cities have been gracious enough to continue to support our efforts to have the parade this year. However, we as a committee cannot justify tying up the city's police and fire department assets to support a parade with only 15 committed participants. This would be far too costly, and these assets would be better utilized elsewhere to serve and protect the citizens of Westland, where the parade was supposed to come through this year. But please know that had nothing to do with it. The money had nothing to do with that. All donations that were collected for this year's parade will be returned in full to the contributors. The Parade Council will continue to meet at Harris Care, VFW Post 3323 at 6:30 p.m. on the last Wednesday of the month to discuss the future of the Wayne Westland Veterans Memorial Parade in hopes of salvaging what has taken so long to accomplish and discuss possible future events. The members of the Wayne Westland Veterans Parade Council extend our sincere thanks to both the Westland Mayor William Wild, the Westland City Council, the Wayne Mayor Susan Rowe, and the Wayne City Council, and the dedicated few of the cities of Wayne and Westland for having the opportunity to serve you and honoring our military veterans. We would like to make a request that everyone take a minute out of their Memorial Day weekend as a moment of silence for those who have sacrificed and to those that you meet for their service, because all gave some and some gave all. Thank you for your time. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Heather.
There's the check for the contributions that the city had
Thank you, Don.
given us. Gracious.
Thank you.
Thanks much.
We'll look for you next year. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. The next item is item 3B. This is a presentation by Paul Spazet from the Knights of Columbus regarding the proposed land use on vacant city-owned property on Wayne Road.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, residents in the audience, and those of you at home. This evening, as Matt mentioned, Paul from the Knights of Columbus Hall is going to present a potential project to you. The Knights of Columbus is interested in purchasing the land next to their property on Wayne Road. They recently purchased the doctor's office next door and plan to expand the Knights into that area. Paul is going to share with you tonight a program that actually has received support from our Main Street program. Maxwell is here tonight, is viewing this as another community gathering area such as Derby's Alley. As far as discussing terms of a sale or potential purchase price, that is not going to be presented until after we have a consensus from the council. As you know, we have to have a supermajority to accept an offer in order for the land to sell. So we were going to kind of do the presentation tonight. I would hope you would all give me feedback and we'll know whether we would be putting this item on the next agenda for approval.
Okay. Thank you, Lori. Hi, Paul.
Hello, Mayor. How are you?
I'm fine.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to present what the Knights see as a vision for the Knights of Columbus itself and the city of Wayne. Short little presentation, and this is the controller. Yeah, there we go. So just a little bit about the Knights. We have been around in the city of Wayne for over 70 years, in the downtown area at our current location for about 10 years or more, and we have about 150 active members that live in the greater Wayne area currently. We currently own the property that we're in outright, the building at 35514 South Wayne Road, and we just purchased the doctor's office next door with the idea of we're going to expand out into that doctor's office. Currently, we rent our hall out to anybody in the community or area that wants to use it. We have the lounge and the bar inside there that we also are open on Wednesdays and Fridays for the community at large. We're looking at the purchase of the land next door to us, the vacant lot that has been vacant for, as far as I know, decades, and utilizing it as an outside venue. So we want to purchase it and become part of the community, not to break ourselves away from it, but to really integrate ourselves into the community, because the Knights of Columbus does believe in the city of Wayne and its growth and its potential in the future. The idea is to make it into an outside walkable space called Notre Dame Garden. Bad rendering done by me, but that's the idea, is to make it a usable space for the Knights and for the community at large. We would have a gazebo, outside concession bar stand, and green space and potted plants and flowers and gardens. It would be fenced in order to meet the Liquor Commission ruling for outside liquor sales. So we would do landscaping, we would have electrical and other such, as I already mentioned. Seating, multi-purpose use area. And the fencing, as I said, would be used for the keeping the land enclosed in order to meet the Liquor Commission rulings. get to the good stuff here. So we want to use it for community events, private rentals, and functions as part of our rentals that we currently do at the hall. It would make it a very unique space within this area that would have the ability to have outside and indoor space that can be utilized. It would be a year-round utilization. The Knights have already been thinking about things that we can do in the spring, summer, and fall to utilize that land for the community at large and for our purposes as well as fundraisers or other events. Parking is an issue that was brought up a lot on the web, and if we look at the overview here, there's plenty of parking directly around us, and since most rentals would be in the evening, most businesses would not be affected because they would be closed, or if it's on the weekend, it's a good opportunity to get people walking in the downtown area as well. But the Knights is the red circle there, and the parking directly behind us is City Lot, and then we have by Bill's old printing shop there across the street at Helium Studios, and of course by Frank's Old Furniture, so plenty of direct parking in the area. So once again, our idea is to become part of the community, not separate ourselves. The Knights do believe in the growth of the city of Wayne, and we think that Wayne's on the upswing, and we want to be a part of that, part of the solution. We want to fully integrate ourselves, and we've been doing that in the last year and a half with the Downtown Wayne Days committees and other functions and events that we have been sponsoring and or taking part in to grow ourselves into outside of the community. Admittedly, we did that bad for quite a few years and kind of stayed in our own little shell, but we are now starting to expand out. Doctor's office was the first part of that, and this land purchase would be the second part of that overall vision that we have. Any questions?
Are there any questions from council members? Yes.
I know this is a question people ask, and you didn't. I don't think you mentioned it. The Knights, how it's owned for taxes, and
okay, so yeah, that's a tricky thing. There are two entities in play here, and we use the Knights in a general term. The Knights of Columbus is a nonprofit organization that does not pay taxes. The Knights of Columbus does not own anything. The Knights of Columbus rent the space that is owned by a corporation called Notre Dame Building Corporation. Notre Dame Building Corporation does pay taxes. So it would be officially the building corporation that is buying the doctor's office and would buy the lot if allowed. So it would be a tax revenue, and it would be it is a nonprofit, but it is not an exempt nonprofit. So all the building corporation profits would then be funneled right into the Knights to support our charities, which would be Special Olympics. And if you've ever seen the Tootsie Roll sales, that's the Knights, and that all goes to the intellectually challenged community as well. Any other questions?
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
May I ask, do you have specific plans? Do you have specific plans on a footprint of what you would be presenting to the council for that property? I see pictures here. Do you have?
We have not gone before an architect yet. We got to see what we're.
I mean, we're just seeing an idea here. We're not seeing a actual visionary application.
It's a vision. It's just my vision. Okay. We haven't gone to an architect yet to get that. We are waiting, obviously, to see if we get the land. Then we would go forward with that. But the idea is an outside venue, not a brick and mortar, not a covered venue. In the foreseeable future, it would strictly be an outside venue. The gazebo and the outside bar are pretty solid ideas that we want to accomplish because we want to make it a year-round venue.
And with all due respect, you pointed that out about a year-round venue. Approximately, how much of the year would you be able to utilize that space in the climate that we live in?
Well, during the winter time, there's nothing saying that we couldn't have a winter's Christmas market out there. In the fall, there's nothing saying we couldn't have a fall market out there. So we do see possibilities for it to be year-round. Obviously, with the climate, there are some months where you just can't do anything, spring, summer, winter, or fall here, right? But we do see it to be 4 seasons and utilized as much as possible throughout the 4 seasons.
Okay, thank you.
My one question is, the fence that you speak of, would it be like, you know, the new wrought iron, black wrought iron type fence, or?
It would be beautification. It would not just be a chain link fence, that's for sure. The whole idea would be the gardens to be an asset to the city and not a deterrent, not to look like a fenced off junkyard.
And this would be a permanent fence?
It would be a permanent fence, correct. And the idea currently is to have entrances on both sides.
Okay.
So the alleyway and the sidewalk.
Sidewalk, okay. All right then. Okay.
I can
Yes.
ask a question. Now, do you anticipate having outdoor speakers and music? And I mean, what's
The topic of music has come up quite a bit on the internet and in conversations. In fact, I had that today at an earlier meeting. Yeah, obviously, if people rent it for events, they might want to have music. We would have strict ordinances because of the community behind us. We would have to figure those out along with the council on what we can and can't do. We understand those restrictions. We know we have to abide by them, so that's not a deterrent to us. You know, we know that we have to keep the sound level down because we are in a residential community. I think one easy way to do it is all speakers would have to face towards the Wayne Road area as opposed to directional in where it can go backwards into the community. But we'd have to look into that and figure that out.
Mayor,
Yes.
just out of curiosity, if you were able to obtain this property, would you see for foreseeable future where you would literally be expanding what you currently have?
Brick and mortar wise?
Yes, sir.
That is never off the table. That has been talked about within the council. For the foreseeable future, we don't think it's necessary yet. We think that would basically build us out of what we can do. By adding the doctor's office, we become a good size medium hall or rental space. I don't know if you've ever been in there, but our current location will fit about 80 people tightly, 64 comfortably. By getting the doctor's office, we are expanding it to be, you know, about 150 people comfortably. So we become a nice size medium hall. So we don't think we need yet the outside space to expand. But there was talk before when we've been thinking about this for about 2 years now, and there was talk before of expanding the lounge side out a little bit to make it bigger. That would all have to be feasibilities, but we think that's way in the future for us. Right now, we think the outside space is more realistic and more doable and more needed.
I did have the pleasure a few weeks ago of coming there and visiting the night that they had the country singer there.
Oh, were you there?
And it was a very pleasant environment, a lot of good people there, and yeah, I see a lot of potential there, quite frankly, the right kind of potential.
That's our hope. We are a family-friendly environment and plan on remaining that way. So.
All right, any further questions?
I got a couple.
Yes.
With regards to the time frame, what would be an expected time frame to have this up and running and available to the public?
Totally completed? I would say that we would probably need 6 months of just planning to get the architectural drawings and the approval from the city and everything else going. Because like the city, the Knights is a council run, so everything has to go before council, which only meets once a month. So we have to go through all that. But I would imagine it could be up and running, totally opened and ready to go within a year. I couldn't see any reason why not. Obviously, it depends on what happens to the land, what we're told we have to do with the land once we buy it. You know, because it has to have environmental tests and all that when you start tearing up soil. So that's all information that we'd have to look into, but I would say within a year.
Okay. Also, you mentioned now the lounge is currently open restrictively to the public. How often would this space be available?
Well, I don't know if I'd say restrictively. We're only open 2 days a week, Wednesday and Friday, 6 p.m. until closing. Open to the public for food and drink and family.
Would that same hours carry over to the garden space?
In the summer months and spring months when it makes sense to have outside venues, yeah, we would be more than happy to do that. And that's all based on need and value, right? Right now, the Knights, we don't do a gangbuster. We're not having to take reservations at our location quite yet. But we think the outside would add value to that because people like to sit outside and have fun, and we'd be able to add elements out there that we couldn't do inside, such as games or yard games or whatever. So yeah, we see it. We've talked about it. We just haven't gotten there yet. That's all in developmental phases. And because we are a charitable organization, all our workers donate their time, so that's another issue.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mayor O?
Yes.
Does Notre Dame properties also have other facilities within the area at all?
No, Notre Dame Building Corporation owns currently one building and is finishing the completion of the doctor's office, which should be totally completed by the end of this month with the actual purchase agreement signed and monies transferred. Then we'll be coming before the council for approvals on those changes. So we've invested quite a bit in the city in the last year and a half through our ventures, but obviously the purchase of this doctor's office is a huge investment, relatively speaking. We got a good deal on it, but there's a lot of work that has to go on the inside of it to bring it up to code and bring it into being used as a hall, which means obviously renovations on the outside of the building as well, which we are looking at, a whole new facade. So we are taking this seriously. We are looking at becoming an asset to the city and not just a club that's taking up space. So that's our goal, is to work with the city and be partner in events.
Okay. All right. Well,
I got another
yes.
question. Do you have an idea how much investment money you're going to end up? I mean, have you looked into that?
For the land?
For the land, for the other, how much?
Well,
do you think?
for the building, we purchased the building for $35. We cannot get quotes on the repairs yet because we can't get in the building yet. We know it needs a whole new roof. We know that we have to gut the whole place out. We're probably talking, 60 or more on the inside itself of the current new building. With that, we'll be doing the part of the existing building to make it all match, and then the facade, we're waiting on the drawings on the facade to come back to show us what our new front would look like, and then we'd have to get quotes on that. So no, we're way too early in that process to have a solid number. But if the question is, are the Knights financially able? Yes.
Okay.
We are sound.
Okay.
Okay then. Okay. Any further questions? No.
Mayor Rowe, I have two
Yes.
questions. So in the past, during, I believe, downtown days, they had a pop-up flea market over in that green area. Is that something you would continue on in the future, or?
Yeah, we have it planned for this year as well. We did get city approval to use that lot. And yes, that is something that we did 2 flea markets last year, in October 1 and the downtown days. And the reception from the people that rented the lot and the people that came to it was well received, and they enjoyed the ability to come downtown and walk there. They went across the street to Helium Studios and did their flea markets. So yeah, we see that as a continuing source of usage of the property.
Okay. And then I heard you mention about parking. Have you talked to any of the surrounding businesses, or have you had any issue with parking in the past, or you anticipate any issues in the future?
Talk to the surrounding businesses. I've talked to Helium Studios.
Okay.
But that's because Kim and I are friends. So, but no, I mean the lots that I'm pointing to are all city-owned lots. None of them are private lots that I pointed to on the presentation. And we've never had an issue in the past. But I will say, in the past, they've used a lot that we're trying to purchase to park on. But there's plenty of parking, like based on the map, there's plenty of parking directly around us that people could easily get to our facility. When we have had like downtown days where the lots are all full, people just walk. They park across the street and they'll walk over, so it hasn't been an issue.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Paul. Appreciate it. And Lori will be in touch with you, I'm sure.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Thank you.
The next item is item 3C. This is a presentation by Jim Budziak of FPJ Investments on housing rehab programs. Right?
Good evening again. We do have Mr. Budziak with us this evening. As you all know, we do have a housing rehabilitation program. This is Mr. Budziak's 4th year participating For those of you in the audience that don't know, there are homes that are offered to the City of Wayne through prior to going to auction through tax foreclosure. The city administration reviews the list, and this year we had 2 individuals that chose from the houses available. They're responsible for coming in, rehabilitating the homes, making sure they're owner occupied, and then they can sell the homes as long as they have an occupant. Mr. Budziak actually showed us a house tonight. All of you had the opportunity to attend. We're very impressed with the work that he's done, and we've asked him to come forward tonight and just kind of give you a little update and show you what's happening in the neighborhoods with the home values.
Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Miller, and council members and city employees, thank you for having me this evening. As Lori mentioned, we started this journey 4 years ago. So I was just going to give a brief synopsis for the folks in the audience. 4 years ago, I came to the city, and in many communities, the properties were being purchased by investors who were turning them into rental houses and doing little to no improvements to the properties. So we had a concept of the city exercising its right of first refusal, stopping the properties from going to the tax sale, and then working with myself and other developers to get the properties renovated and sold to owner occupants. So over the 4-year period, we've renovated and sold to owner occupants in excess of 50 properties, and the values, I'll put a slide up when I get there, but the values are significantly increased by the renovations that we do. Is this my clicker?
Right.
I don't get to hold these very often. My kids always have them.
Just point it. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is a typical scope of work. We put new floors in. We salvaged hardwood floors whenever possible. New kitchen cabinets, granite countertops, bathrooms are updated. The home is painted inside out. Exterior renovations as necessary, whether it's concrete, roofs, windows, and then challenging issues addressed. Many times your tax foreclosed properties are the most distressed properties, and you run into mold remediation or water issues in the basement that have to be taken care of. This is just a quick synopsis of the 5 houses we acquired this year. You can see in the last column the renovation costs. Richard is the lowest at this point, but that's because that home is still under renovation and not done. So I've probably got another 20 or 30,000 of bills coming in on that property. Okay. But our renovations are running on average well in excess of $50,000, and that's because, as you'll see from the photos, they're in tough shape sometimes. So here we go with some of the photos. This is 4942 South Wayne Road. This is the property we visited this evening. There's the before. The garage was sided with a new roof. And now my memory's coming back. I apologize. My crew that that cleaned this house out normally takes pictures. I didn't get a ton of befores on this one.
Right.
So this is 3963 Mildred. This has the before and after. New roof, all new vinyl siding on the exterior, new front door. And that's a typical renovation in the basement. Most of the time, even if the basement's finished, we tear everything out of the basement, clean it up, epoxy the floors, paint the walls, dry fault the ceiling, and just make sure there's no mold issues or any moisture issues in the basement for when we sell the property. This is 3511 Berry. This home also had all new vinyl siding put on the home and the garage. 4501 WINIFRED. I'm going too fast, let me know. And this is the home that's currently under renovation. So that's it. In closing, I'd just like to say it's, you know, working with the city. I mean, when I started back here, started with the city, it was Mayor Rose, husband Ed, that I worked with a lot at the building department, and he was fantastic. And now I work with Mike, and Mike is awesome, and his guys are good, and you know, they hold us accountable, make sure we're doing things right. But you know, I think we've got a pretty good system together now where we're on the same page. We kind of know what's expected, what needs to be done, and it's just, there's been a lot of support in the community, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity that we've been given, and I hope that we've earned your trust, and we look forward to continuing to help the city renovate properties.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in and working with the city and really improving our housing stock for new homeowners in the community. The house that we saw this evening, what do you think you'll be able to list it at? Okay, so that home was that was 4942 South Wayne. Mm-hmm. The SEV on that home was $30,400 currently, and which for folks that don't know, SEV is typically half a market value. So saying that the market value of that house is $60,000, and that house just went pending today for $135,000. Wonderful. So that's going to be a good comparable for the city to use for appraisals. Yeah, it'll bring the values up of that whole neighborhood. Yeah, and that's a good point. It not only brings up the value of that property, because as we've gained momentum in communities that we've been in for a number of years, the local appraisers start to go to our homes for comps, because they typically tend to be the highest priced homes in the city because they are fully renovated. So then it helps increase the value of other sales within the neighborhood, because it provides a good comp for the appraiser to work off of. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Any questions from anyone up there?
I just got a comment. Yes. I just want to thank you for everything that you've done with this. I mean, it's been, I think, 4 years since we started doing this, and I was on the council with Al when we first started doing this. Just so residents understand, we were doing this before anybody else was with Jim, and this is actually cutting edge stuff for us, that we were having an issue with people were buying these houses and they were becoming rentals, and people were buying it from overseas and doing all sorts of stuff, and you couldn't keep control of your housing stock. And now we have homeowners in these houses, and it flipped the script on the whole thing, and it's a tribute to you and your hard work in doing that. I appreciate everything you guys have done.
Well, thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you. And Lori?
Just along the lines, item 3D is a presentation from Jim to the Friends of People Helping People program.
Okay. I'm going to bring Mr. Demisio up. Al Demisio, I was fortunate enough to be allowed to participate in the Friends program last year. Each year, this wonderful group of people fundraises from individuals like all of you in the community. And we have the ability to impact someone in our community that's in need. Last year we did a house on Haroon Street. I actually got to paint with Mayor Rowe. A lot of you were there. And Mr. Budziak asked me what he could do in our community, what organization in our community that I think would be something that he could have the greatest impact on. And going along with the houses that he rehabs, the Friends Project tries to do the same thing with a very small amount of money. So at this time I'd like to ask Mr. Budziak and all the members of the Friends Committee to come up, and Mr. Budziak has a presentation.
Oh, wait a minute. I had something here for Lori.
See, Lori tried to work on the house last year, and actually, she did a good job as far as for her first time. But I thought I needed to give her a clean shirt, so that she could have something nice to wear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for the help here. You might say Jim has helped us in the past too, but this really puts us on solid ground in that. And I'd like to ask the other members to come up here from the committee. And Ed. And I just one minute here. We have over 60 volunteers that work on the project, and we have a lot of the junior ROTC and the kids from the high school come out. And we sort of guide them along as far as teach them how to paint. We don't have the experienced workers that Jim has working on his house, and so we have to take our time at doing it. But we've been doing it for over 20 years, and it was the committee members are Ed McMurray, Nancy and Matt. We have John. John has actually come out and done a lot of work for, and I'd like to thank you, John, and that. And the mayor has done a lot of work, and so has the mayor pro tem. And I know all of you have participated as far as in supporting us on this project. I want to thank you very much for that. But we also have Juan Bradford, Steve Davidson, and Bill Copeland, and where are we here? Oh, come on, Ed. Oh, there's a special place. There's a special place for Ed and his crew in the DPW. When we get into a little bit of a pinch in there, they always come through as far as to help us out when they have the opportunity to. But with all the volunteers, we're able to help our neighbor, one of our neighbors in the city, who really need the help as far as to fix up their house. And what Jim said is very true. If you fix up one person's house and help them you know, get it looking nice and having it safe and that, then it helps the entire neighborhood and the entire community, because then you'll start seeing some of the neighbors coming out and actually fixing up their house. And we also have the neighbors coming over saying, well, this person really deserves the help and needs it, and they'll join in to help and volunteer in doing it. So thank you very much, Jim, for all the help you've given us in this.
All right, well, like I had stated earlier, it's been my pleasure to work in the city and all the great support I get from the city, so I wanted to give something back. So I have a check for $5,000.
Awesome.
And thanks for all your hard work in the community too.
Get a picture up front.
That'll go a long way.
Sure will.
For anyone who has never had the opportunity to work at one of the Friends homes, it is very rewarding. I mean, everyone that I have been able to work on, the homeowners are just so appreciative of all that we can do for them, and they're just incredulous that the fact that people in their community are willing to donate a Saturday and work and paint. And I mean, one year we did aluminum siding work. I mean, Al does such a wonderful job getting people to contribute. It's amazing, but it is fun. And the JROTC last year, usually at lunchtime when we feed them all pizza, they leave, and so that's usually around 12:30, 1 o'clock. This year, this group, we weren't done. We had a lot of painting still to do, and they all stayed. And these young kids stayed until almost 5 o'clock before they left to go home. And so it was very, very humbling and very rewarding to see young people in our community already learning the value of giving back to those in their community that need that assistance. And so also to them, I applaud them for all of their work. So thank you. Thank you very much, Al. And thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Next item.
The next item is item 4, public hearings. Item 4A is a public hearing to consider the proposed fiscal year 2018-19 budget and millage rates.
Okay, and that's going to be Brian and Katie, or just Katie? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Good evening.
For the 2019 fiscal year budget, we started working on it a few months ago in February, and as you know, we had our study session in April, and the department heads and the city manager and finance, we all worked together to come up with this budget that you have today. Right now, we aren't showing a deficit for the end of fiscal year 16. We are slowly declining our fund balance, so we will get there, but right now we're okay. We have a very conservative budget though, so we'll amend as we go and add in things like police officers, or if we get more revenues such as selling some properties, we'll add those things in as we go.
Okay. All right. Do we have any, are you going to also talk right now about the water rates, or we're going to wait till after? How did you want to do that, Matt?
Well, it is going to be all in one, so
right.
you know, maybe you could address the council with that. So.
Okay, so the water rates, for the water variable rate, it's going to be $7.26. For the sewer variable rate, it would be $6.46, and there would be no change to the fixed rate.
Okay. So that brings the total variable rate up to $13.72, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
And the previous total rate was $13.37.
Okay.
So it's a 35-cent increase.
Right. Okay. All right then. Okay. We'll open the public hearing.
Yes, we can open the public hearing and take comments from the public.
We'll open the public hearing. So if there's any comments from anyone out in the audience regarding the budget. Oh. Yes, Mr. Budziak.
Mr. Bukovich.
Oh, Bukovich, I'm sorry.
I thought for a second you called someone else. I don't know if it's just me or it's all right, or the mic is not turned up, or it's just my ears, because it's been a little hard to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I don't know. It might be the mic. I'm not sure. Or maybe my ears are getting older. I don't know. But my question is, I don't have the budget in front of me. Is the possible library millage in there at all?
No.
Or so that if it does pass in whatever August, I believe.
Strictly. That's strictly the library.
Right, but that's a part of the budget. I mean, I know it's its own thing, but.
Right, but it's not in here right now.
Okay. I think that's all I had. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, we will close the public hearing.
We'll take a motion in a second. Thank you.
Motion
Council?
to close the public hearing. Move.
And support? The support?
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Supported.
Yes.
Okay. That's the
to close the public hearing.
Yes. Okay. All in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. What is the wish of council as far as the budget goes?
We got that down later.
Well, we'll address that during the general items for consideration.
Oh, that's right. Okay. That's right. Okay.
So the next item is item 5, site plans. Item 5A is site plan number 2018-02. This is for the Maple Avenue development at 39115 Maple. And this is a big project on Maple. Tonight representing the site plan is Neil McLean, Brad Pattinson, and then there's actually a whole team of Ford members, as it's kind of integral to the operations at the Wayne plant, and also Local 900 is here also. And I'll just walk through the entire kind of the plan for you, and then we'll have Brad from Ground Effects kind of talk about the operation. This is for the construction of a 40,300 square foot industrial building in the I-1 zone. It's a use that is permitted in the district, and they're going to be constructing the building on 7.9 acres along Maple Avenue. So this is Maple. A lot of people may wonder where Maple is, but Maple is east of Hannon. Hannon would be here, and south of Michigan Avenue West. There's John Hicks, and then all of Louis Savage Sub is just to the north of this plant. Right behind here is the railroad, and then Ford Motor Company is to the east. So kind of to orient ourselves where exactly Maple Avenue is, because there's actually only 2 addresses on Maple Avenue in the whole city. So this is kind of, I would refer to it as the former KC trucking site. There was Ken Callender Trucking that did a lot of plant operations over at the Ford plant, and it was really just a trucking terminal with their office building on the west side of that location. Many years ago they came before us also. They did an addition, had a fueling station, all of that on the west side at Ken Callender Trucking. This is again for the construction of the 40,000 square foot building here, and then with the truck well. The setback from Maple Avenue is 92 feet. So this is from Maple Avenue down to the front of the building is 92 feet. They will have a 54-car parking out in front of the location for their employees. And then back here is kind of what is called the staging area. And Brad will talk about kind of what they're going to be doing. They're going to be actually spraying bed liners in vehicles that will come from the Ford plant. And what is nice about this location is actually it is directly adjacent to the plant via kind of what is known as Hicks Road. Before, we've also got another thing kind of going is that they're going to have to vacate a portion or all of Hicks Road from Maple going south. It's a road on paper, it's just not a road that is developed at this time. But they're envisioning actually having a gate in the plant's fence and actually driving vehicles from the plant here to the staging area, applying the product here, and then kind of bringing them out, stacking them, and then sending them back to the plant. So it'll also almost be kind of a function of the plant, but just done off-site, and then the vehicles taken back over to the plant. The building itself is a split-face block building. It also has these accent bands that you can see. There's 4 bands on the building. This is the north elevation. This is kind of what we will see from Maple. This is the west elevation. Kind of if you were driving east on Maple, you'll kind of just see a corner of this. This is where they'll have a truck well, and then they'll have all the access doors for the vehicles outbound, vehicles inbound on the east, and then the back is the south elevation is just one solid wall where all of this will occur. Part of the plan is, of course, if you read the conditions that you all received in your packet, is that there will be a landscape buffer. Also, they're going to have the fence move back another 5 feet to comply with the ordinance, 25-foot setback for fences in the industrial zone. And then, again, the entire site will be fenced for security. Another condition of our plan is there's numerous curb cuts along Maple Avenue that won't be utilized. So they're going to kind of close in those curb cuts and clean up the curb line on Maple. They're envisioning that this will create 30 additional jobs in the city. It's going to currently run on 1 shift, but there, of course, as the capacity is needed, they do have the capacity to do more shifts if possible. The lighting of the entire lot will comply with the lighting requirements. We have a 1-foot candle at the property line, so that basically the light will stop at the property line of the site itself. Directly adjacent to the north is a residential district. We've had a lot of conversations with Neil, Brad, about the neighbors, about the setbacks, the landscaping, the lighting, all those things that help create a buffer between the industrial zone and the residential zone. The Planning Commission did recommend this to you with 12 conditions of approval from their May 4th meeting. We had a special meeting on Friday, May 4th. They did recommend to you this project with all of those conditions. But I wanted to have Brad and Neil, if they wanted to step forward, Brad could kind of give you just a short synopsis of exactly what ground effects is. And Neil is, I guess, Neil is actually going to be doing the building. He's going to own, and then ground effects is going to be the tenant that will be occupying this space for Neil. So, great. Okay. Thanks.
So
Welcome.
my name is Brad Pattison. I'm a program manager for Ground Effects. Just to give you a little bit of history of Ground Effects, the doors opened at Ground Effects in 1986, so we've been in existence for 34 years. We've been mostly a supplier for the major OEMs. We started out in Canada as an accessory manufacturer, such as tubular parts, side steps for your vehicles, other accessories, plastic injection molded as well. In about 2008, when pretty much everybody in the automotive industry was closing their doors, we met up with a company called Ultimate Linings at the SEMA show in Las Vegas. We since then developed a relationship where they would provide us a polyurethane material that we can apply to the inside of the truck boxes for all of the OEMs, and in this case it would be specifically for Ford. The Ford is going to be bringing the Ranger into the Michigan assembly plant, and once again, as Matt described, the benefit of this property specifically is that it's adjacent to the current Michigan assembly lot. So at other facilities, the trucks would need to be driven from the assembly plant to our facility, where we would process the truck, run it through the facility, and apply this bed liner. Here, the benefit is we would not need to drive the vehicles on the city streets. We've got 29 facilities throughout North America. 4 specifically within Michigan, servicing the other truck assembly plants currently, and obviously, this will be a great addition to the Ground Effects family. We are we consider ourselves still a family-owned business. We're all pretty close-knit bunch of employees, and we think that this would be a very good addition to the Ground Effects family.
Will you be hiring new people or bringing people with you?
We will be hiring new, but there will also be some voluntarily transfers from our current Dearborn facility. And what we'd be looking for is employees that maybe live closer to the Wayne area than they do the Dearborn, so it benefits them as far as a smaller commute. But in turn, yes, the plan is to be hiring new employees.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And Neil, do you have anything?
Neil McLean. I own a number of industrial buildings. I do own one other building in Wayne that I met Matt many years ago. I bought the building from Unistrut at the corner of Elizabeth and leased it to LKQ for a number of years, and unfortunately they outgrew it, and now Bay Logistics is located in there. And I did a fair amount of work to that building once I bought it, and Matt can tell you that brought it up to date and brought a lot of jobs in there. Unfortunately, LKQ just outgrew their business grew so much that they had to move to a larger facility, and now Bay Logistics is in there and they're utilizing the facility. So looking forward to building a nice facility here that will look good from the street and have good proper landscaping, and I have a long track record of holding on to the building, so I'm not a person that comes in and buys buildings and flips them or anything like that. So
Okay.
plan on owning this building for many, many years.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
So you said initially you're just going to have one shift, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. When we start up the facility, it will be a one shift, one shift operation.
And what are the hours of operation going to be?
To start out, it'll be typically around 7 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
And now you're doing the truck liners. Do you anticipate doing anything else aside from that in the future, or is this strictly going to be this one item?
No, there will be opportunities in the future for other outfits, like installing actually the drop-in bed liners, which are kind of a competitor of ours, but we also install those, and doing graphic installations. If you'll I guess the best example I use is when the Camaro came back and Transformer movie came back. The one thing that was set apart the Camaro was the black graphics that were installed in there. Well, Ground Effects actually had the facility that installed those black graphics. So those would be other opportunities that will arise in the future at the Ground Effects facility.
Anyone else? One question I do have, this material that you spray, is it like the old coating that used to be that you Z-Bart? Is it similar to that, or? It's
kind of, I'm not totally familiar with the Z-Bart. It's a polyurethane coating. It's a rubber coating with a fine texture to prevent, when you load stuff in there, prevent materials from sliding around in the back of your box. But it is adhered to the sheet metal, so it is actually a increases the durability of your box and and obviously the life of that area of your vehicle. Okay. My one question is, that area there, as you know, it is 2 square miles of Ford Motor Company's plants. Lots of times there is odors that come from especially the paint area, and I'm wondering, does your building have to have specific I guess air to facilitate any odor going out to the community? So if you travel to any of our sites outside of the facility, there have never been any complaints of odors. We've got other facilities that are adjacent to neighboring properties, such as in Louisville, Kentucky, and actually in Dearborn. And outside of the facility, there have never been any complaints of odors. Okay, all right.
Mayor,
yes.
and I was leading that question too. Just to just confirm, is that the application of this product on these vehicles will be done inside with the proper ventilation? They're not, all the work is going to be done inside. It's not going to be done outside. That's what we're getting to.
Everything is done inside of a spray booth that is a Class 1 Div 1 spray booth with proper filtration to ensure that there's no pollutants that get out into the air that are outside of the norm. Okay. Right. What is the wish of council?
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Well, welcome to the city.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to working with the whole team.
Hopefully it'll be this year. I imagine you want it to be open.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
They are on a short time frame, so they will be getting building as soon as they can get building.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you.
Meet the needs of the new Bronco.
Yeah.
Yes.
First the Ranger.
The next item is item 6. This is communications and reports. Item 6A is a memo from the city manager regarding the Parks and Trails Committee.
Yes. Am I on deck?
You're on deck.
All right. Thank you very much, through the chair. As you recall, at the April 3rd meeting, there was some discussion about creating a Parks Committee, and the administration was tasked with coming up with some options and ideas. And Matt was a little overwhelmed, so I told Matt I'll take the run on that one. So, but Matt did have a chance to review it. Ed had a chance to review it from the DPW, put their 2 cents in as well. So after looking through probably, not even joking, about 50 to 60 different sites, committees across the country, the one that I found was probably the that matched. I tried to match everything that council had tried to had given us as far as options or ideas and things like that. This was kind of a compilation of a few cities, but I thought it fit a little bit better than just creating this large committee that was overwhelming, because right now I think the DPW has done a good job presenting the state of our parks, and a lot of the issues with our parks, certainly we have issues with regards to equipment and other maintenance, replacement. I mean, obviously the Atwood Park structure is old. It's wooden structure. It really needs to be replaced. I mean, but it's very costly. I mean, upwards of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to replace those. But really, after speaking with Ed and getting some feedback, and then with the council, our biggest issues right now are really that we can, I think a Parks Committee could help out with, are really cleanups, weeding, raking, the maintenance side of the coin. Obviously, we've kind of gone back and forth with regards to who should really be replacing spindles, who should really be repairing fencing or things like that. And you run into a lot of issues with, we'd love to have the community help, but you run into a lot of issues labor-wise, and you run into a lot of issues with potential injury as well. The other thing is that while we love the community, and I want to just kind of put this out there, while we love the community helping out, the best thing you could do is if you want to help us raise some money for items for these parks, because a lot of times what you purchase is not going to pass the safety inspection that we have to, that's required in our parks. So, but going back to it and focusing on this, because we have a couple of beautiful trails, I really found it a great idea that we not just focus on parks, but parks and trails. So basically the synopsis of this report, not to go in too detailed, is that the Parks and Trails Committee shall be composed of 5 to 7 members who will serve 2-year staggered terms and who are appointed by the Wayne City Council. Each member should reside within the corporate limits of the City of Wayne and hold no official position with the city except for the council liaison, which we discussed, that will be chosen by their peers to serve only as a liaison. Each member would be responsible for 2 to 3 parks, with 1 member holding specific responsibility for the trails. The committee would serve strictly on a volunteer basis and receive no compensation for their time. And so just going through some of the powers and duties, I'll try to go through them quickly. Some of the recommended powers and duties would be the Parks and Trails Committee shall advise the council and city manager in all matters relating to parks and trails, including but not limited to the following. And that would be under the advisement also with Ed's help. Plan and develop programs and activities within or beyond the corporate city limits. Develop schedules of hours and fees, if any, for the use of recreational trail and park facilities within the city. Study possible government and private foundation grants available for acquisition and development of park and trail facilities. Develop plans for improvement and betterment of existing facilities with guidance from the Department of Public Works. Coordinate recreational trail and park activities with other community organizations and groups, something that I think we could, certainly do. Promote public interest and understanding of the city's parks and trails activities and coordinate cleanup activities throughout the year. And meet as necessary to perform its functions and keep a public record of its resolutions, findings, and determinations. And certainly it would be up to how the council would like to move forward, but most of these Parks and Trails committees either are met monthly or quarterly, depending on the scope that you would choose to move forward. I know there was a lot of discussion about setting up a 501c3 through this committee, because the foundation right now, I think we've heard Matt, if I'm not mistaken, might want to disband, correct? I mean, there's really been no activity there. Right. So while the committee wanted to set up a 501c3 option, as a grant writer, I just wanted you to remember that we probably would still have to look to organizations like Rotary and others right now. They're very limited, but to help us for a little while, because a lot of your foundations and a lot of 501c3s are requiring 3 years minimum of a budget to show that you have some stability. The reason they're doing that is because a lot of 501c3s after 1 year fold. And a lot of 501c3s after 2 years, in all honesty, have issues with reporting. And so the government has found that it's probably better to be safe and go to a 3-year cycle to make sure that the organization is on sound footing, to be honest. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, because I think a lot of foundations have lost money because 501c3s have folded or something has happened. But again, with a 501c3, it's not difficult to set up, but you do have to have somebody really maintain it. Right. And make sure that all the bookkeeping and record keeping is on track, because when just like every year when we have to submit our taxes, you have to make sure that you're in compliance with a 501c3, and it's pretty demanding. I mean, but it's not impossible. I don't want to discourage it. Just make sure that the expectation is there and explained well. So I know I speak fast. That's unfortunately, I'm a hybrid youper and talk a little faster than most. But that just kind of gives you an idea of where we thought we could at least have a starting point. So, okay. Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right. So if members of the council would at least let myself or the city managers know how you feel about this, and we can possibly have it maybe on the next agenda at that time, or the next one after that.
That'd be great. Thank you, Mayor. Okay.
Yes.
Just had a question. It sounds like a great idea. Did I hear you right when you said, I'm sorry, through the chair to
yes.
the city manager?
Yes.
There was something about a charge to use the trails?
No.
Okay, because I was going to say, why should we have to pay for something that we're already paying through taxes? And shouldn't that come out of the Parks and Recreation budget?
May I answer, Mayor?
Yes.
I think, Mark, that's actually what I said is develop schedules and hours and fees, if any, for the use of recreational trail and park facilities. But that's really more about our pavilions. People do rent the pavilions right now.
Yeah.
So I apologize. That's actually a very good item for clarification.
Sorry, I don't have my hearing aid in, so.
No, that's
All right,
okay, and I spoke fast. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so are we all okay with that, council members?
Yes.
Okay, all right then. Next item?
The next item is item 6B, and this is a flyer from the fire department concerning the 2nd annual Firefighters Charity Barbecue. And Jeremy went with the shift, so I've been deemed an honorary firefighter. So I'm going to tell you about the 2nd annual Wayne Firefighters Charity Barbecue. This will be Saturday, June 2nd, from 11 till 2 p.m. and it's at the fire station, 3300 South Wayne Road. The cost is $5. It'll be your choice of a hamburger, hot dog, chips, drinks, and a dessert. They're going to have face painting, bounce house, ice cream, and more. And this is to go into the fire education fund for the fire department. If you do have any questions regarding that day, you can call the fire administration, 722-1111, and you don't have to buy advance tickets. You can just buy them at the door, $5 a person. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Saturday, June 2nd.
Next item?
Item is 6C. This is a memo from the finance director regarding the investment report.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
This is just a report showing fiscal year 19 compared to fiscal year 18 and how much interest we've earned for the funds that we have in interest-bearing accounts. With only the first 3 quarters, we've already earned more than last year. So that's good. Interest rates are going up. It's not very much, but it's something.
Well, almost $3,000, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, probably another 4,000 in the next quarter, so
okay.
Probably about 7,000 more than last year. Although I was looking at past investment reports, and in 2009 we had 323,000 in interest, so but it's something.
Yes, yes, this is better than nothing. So thank you, Katie.
Item 6D is a report from Maxwell Cameron, director of the Wayne Main Street, concerning cleanup event and the chocolate walk.
Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. My name is Maxwell Cameron. I'm the Executive Director of Wayne Main Street. I wanted to provide an update or recap on a couple of events that our organization just held. At the end of April 21st, we had a cleanup day in downtown Wayne, and I can't tell you how amazing it was to see. We had over 150 volunteers come out and participate in this effort, and I'll attempt to name all of the partner organizations, but if I miss anybody, I apologize. We had Rouge-a-Palooza and Friends of the Rouge, Healthy Wayne, the Chamber, the Wayne Memorial JROTC team, Wayne Rotary, and a special thank you to Lisa, the staff, and DPW for all of their support with this event. We really can't do it without our partnerships and the partnership that we have with the city. So, it was a great turnout, and I'm also pleased to let you know that we're continuing our partnership with Ford. This Thursday, they're also going to be holding a cleanup day where we're going to have them clean up around Jack Demmer and the Ford plant. So, sort of the parts that we did and we weren't able to take care of on our cleanup day on the 21st, and we'll be working with the DPW again. So, a double thank you to everything that they do and all of our amazing volunteers. It was truly a great community event. This past weekend, we also held our 3rd annual chocolate walk in celebration of Mother's Day weekend, and man, the weather was terrible. If that's an understatement, for sure. But we had a lot of we had great turnout. Some amazing folks came out, and it's just the spirit of Wayne. Everybody was so happy to be there, happy to participate. You know, we got nothing but positive feedback from the event. So, you know, I think the rain kept a few folks away, but we had over 120 tickets sold for that event. So we're very pleased with the turnout. We're, you know, looking forward already to next year and thinking about how we can make that event even bigger and better. And we're just excited because now we have, you know, a couple new businesses in town, and how do we get them involved? So it'll be, you know, an exciting challenge to grow that event in the future. And final note I wanted to make mention, we did reschedule, as you may be aware, our Derby's Alley opening event, which was supposed to be held last month. The event will be this coming Tuesday, May the 22nd at 3 p.m. We're just going to have a little opening ceremony, some cake to celebrate, and so the community at large is invited to participate. We'd of course love all of our council to also join us, and city staff to celebrate this amazing project. So that's again Tuesday the 22nd at 3 p.m. And thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. I must say, I drove myself and 3 friends around on the chocolate walk, and at times I felt there was more water inside my car than outside, because we'd get out, go to 3 stores, get back in, and drenched, and every time we would walk out it was like floods coming down. And we ended up at Karma Cafe. That was the last stop for us, and that was so nice because they had delicious homemade soup that day, and we had a nice bowl of soup and a hot cup of chocolate, hot chocolate, and to get warmed up again. So the city and all of the businesses still were very friendly, very welcoming, and it was fun. It was a very fun event. So thank you, and I hope to do it again next year. Okay. Next item
is item 6E. This is a memo from the police chief and a thank you from Crime Stoppers.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This is a $400 donation to Crime Stoppers. This is our 8th year doing it. Crime Stoppers is a great organization that assists law enforcement. They've assisted us many times, especially we have major cases. They'll assist us with press conferences, the posters to solicit information, and also rewards. So this is a great thing, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Okay. Thank you. If I may, this is not on the agenda, and I feel I was remiss in just reminding the administration about it, but this week is National Police Week, and today specifically is the Peace Officers Memorial Day. And if you will indulge me, I'd like to read this editorial that I found in the paper that was actually in Wyoming. They're often scorned, ridiculed, and underappreciated. They're also often our first, last, and only line of defense against the dark underbelly of a community, serving as watchdogs, domestic dispute referees, and the voice of reason during highly charged situations and events. They respond to fire calls and car crashes, offer directions to lost motorists, and assist during events like parades and funeral processions. They're a constant and reassuring presence whenever large groups of people are assembled, whether it's at sporting events or county fairs. And more often than not, they're heroes, putting their lives on the line daily to protect and serve the community they represent. Today is Peace Officers Memorial Day, so designated by President John F. Kennedy in a proclamation in 1962. The week it falls on has become known as National Police Week and has been set aside each year to honor and remember those who have served honorably and with distinction as keepers of the peace across the nation, as well as those who have lost their lives in the line of duty. An annual memorial service began in 1982 in Washington, D.C. and featured 120 survivors and supporters of law enforcement, according to the National Police Week website. The event has since grown to a week-long event in the nation's capital, attracting attendees numbering in the thousands. It's estimated that between 25,000 to 40,000 members of law enforcement and their families participate each year. Our nation has become a violent one, and officer-involved shootings have become media fodder on a daily basis. In some of these instances, accusations of overaction on the part of law enforcement personnel is justified. For the most part, however, officers using their weapons in the line of duty is the last resort. reserved for when a resolution of non-lethal force is no longer an option. These incidents often result in loss of life, many times that of the responding officer. 53 officers have died in the line of duty since the start of 2018, up 4% from this time last year. According to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, those who have lost their lives will be honored May 15th in front of the U.S. Capitol, followed by a wreath-laying ceremony at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington. On that memorial are the names of 21,541 officers who have died while doing their duty over the years. 2 of those names belong to former officers in this city for the where the paper was written. But I would just like to say, Chief, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I mean, we as a city really appreciate you. So please send our thanks to all of your men and tell them that our prayers are always with you. Okay, thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
The next item is item 7, general items for consideration. Item 7A is to approve a resolution regarding the fiscal year 18-19 budget and the fiscal year 18-19 water and sewer rates.
Move approval.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Racy and supported by Councilman Porter. Any questions? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No? Okay.
Motion passed.
Okay.
5-1.
All right.
The next item is item 7C. This is to approve the purchase of 2 Freightliner 6.5-yard dump trucks in the amount of $360,570 to be paid from the capital outlay and water and sewer budgets.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Webster. Are there any questions?
I just want to make a comment.
Yes.
Just so people know, I had the opportunity yesterday. I had asked if I could actually take a look at the dump trucks, because earlier on when I first got on council, we bought some trucks and people had questions about it afterwards. So I wanted to make sure I saw the dump trucks firsthand, and there are actually holes in the bottom. They're coming up in the center. There's a lot of issues, undercarriage. I actually went underneath one of them to take a look at it. They just happened to have one on the hoist and was able to look at it. I'm not a mechanic, but I could tell that it's not something I would want to be long term. And if we're wanting to get the money, what we can still out of it, we need to sell it now, and instead of losing the money in the future. So I'm supporting this tonight.
Any other questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If we could have Ed come up, I just would like him to explain to the audience what MI Deal contract is and why we use it.
Certainly.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council.
Good evening.
My deal is through the state of Michigan, and my deal is an extended purchasing program which allows Michigan local units of government to use state contracts to buy goods and services. Currently, right now, we're using a contract. There's a number here, 071B77000087. That's actually for the outfitting of the trucks with the best value through the state bidding process. And what that does is it kind of helps us not to have to go doing the bidding process ourselves. They already do it at a larger scale and are able to get better values than what we would probably be able to get if we went out and did the bidding ourselves. And so then, and also through that same process, I mean, on the portion of it, the chassis on these through Freightliner, they'll be doing the chassis part of it, and then Knapheide will be doing the outfitting of the actual dump bodies and things like that. And so there's 2 components there that go hand in hand when you're ordering some of these vehicles. So.
Okay. Is that sufficient, Councilor Webster? Any other questions? No? Okay. It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
The next item is item 7D. This is City Manager Review Committee appointments.
Yes, both of 7D and 7E, which is the City Manager Review Committee and the City Attorney Review Committee. I just wanted them on the agenda, so if any members of council wish to serve on either one of those committees, if you would just let me know. And we will be starting a review probably in July, August timeframe. So that's the only reason I put them on the agenda. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
So then we'll move the item to added item 7F.
Yes.
Okay. And this is the City Council vacancy.
Okay. This City of Wayne City Council, again, will be filling a vacancy on the City Council. And it's to be considered to fill the vacancy. I need the people who are interested to please submit a letter of interest and a resume with your qualifications and contact information to the Wayne City Clerk at 3355 South Wayne Road in Wayne. The deadline to apply will be Thursday, May 24th at 4:30 p.m. So if you don't have it in here by May 24th at 4:30 p.m., you will not be considered for the appointment process. Again, the City Hall hours are Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can use the brown drop box that is outside here at City Hall to drop it, and they will be checking it to see if anything is in there. May 24th. The position is to fill the unexpired term of Jeremy Webster, who was an at-large position until November of 2018. The minimum requirements for the position is that you have to have been a resident of the City of Wayne for at least 1 year, not in the rears of any city fees, taxes, and a registered voter of the city. If you have any other questions or concerns, please contact the City Clerk's office. Thank you. Bless you.
So, and also just a part of that, so we're proposing to have an interview process again, like we did in the past, that's in compliance with the City Council rules and procedures.
Yes.
And we're kind of looking, depending on how many candidates we get, either the week of May 28th, which is the week after Memorial Day, or even before the June 5th meeting, which really you'll have to have the appointment done by. There's a 30-day window. The clock began ticking on Saturday, which is, I don't even remember the date, but anyways, this past Saturday, and we have to have it done by June 10th. So we will, time is of the essence.
Yes. Okay.
Matt, if you could also, this is going to be posted on the pursuant to the council rules and procedures on the city website as well. And then we did a review today of the council rules and procedures to ensure that we're in compliance. And I don't know if you all recall, but the procedures do say that we will be posting it on the city website together with publishing it in the paper, and we have an anticipated publication date. So if anyone needs more information, we'll be posting it on the city website also.
Okay, the next item is item 8, administration reports.
Do we have any reports?
No reports tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
The next item are citizens' comments or requests on items not on the agenda. Citizens are to limit their comments or requests to 3 minutes. The City Council asks that if you do have a question or a concern, to bring it to the attention of the appropriate departments whenever possible. If you feel that the matter has not been resolved satisfactorily, you are encouraged to bring it to the attention of the city manager, and if still not resolved satisfactorily, to the mayor and the city council. The mayor, the city council, and the department heads may not respond to questions at the meeting, but will respond at the next city council meeting or as soon as possible once they have looked into the matter.
Okay. Are there any comments from citizens? Yes. Whoops.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dan Statchow from the Wayne Westland Veterans Parade Committee. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you, Mayor Rowe, City Council people, the people in the audience that attended the parades. We appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. First of all, I'd just like to thank all the voters that came out last week to vote. I thought it was a very important decision, and the numbers were overwhelmingly supportive of the recall. Secondly, once I got the attorney to force Wayne County to do the recall election, I knew that the election would become very ugly, and I'm sorry for that. I'd like to apologize to certain people. It seems that somebody wanted to go after city employees, city council members, and actually citizens and business owners in the community to deflect from his own actions, his own words, and his own decisions. Lisa Nocerini, Lori Goen, John Racy, Jeremiah Webster, Brian Avanchu, and Mike Smith from the UAW. I'm truly sorry that you had to be drug into this. It was his own actions, his own words, and his own decisions that caused the citizens to walk the streets and to force this election. They had nothing to do with this. And I hope that this is a lesson for the election this fall for mayor, because I can see it being a lot uglier, and it would be disappointing. I love this community, and I thought I did what was right, and the citizens backed what I thought was right by their vote. Good night.
Yes, Mr. Blackwell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On Monday, May 7th, 2018, I submitted a FOIA request to the city clerk, which was stamped received. On Thursday, May 10th, 2018, I was informed by someone all the way down in Florida that my FOIA was requested by then Councilman Mr. Sanders. I confirmed this by speaking in person with the city clerk, Mr. Miller, who also informed me that a copy was also forwarded to all members of council plus a department head by Mr. Sanders. I confirmed the copies to council because I messaged Councilman Reza and I spoke with Councilman Porter this evening, who verified that they did indeed received a copy of my FOIA, among other things. Here's the problem, and I know the city attorney's probably going to whip out her pen and take a lot of notes. One, my personal information was not redacted by the FOIA agent for the city of Wayne, who I understand is also the personnel director. Two, pursuant to FOIA requests, there was a blatant violation of my personal privacy pursuant to FOIA, quote, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy, and that's 5 U.S.C. subsection 552. More specifically, exemption 6 pursuant to violation of FOIA, information that, if disclosed, would invade another individual's personal privacy. 3. Pursuant to the Privacy Act of 1974, which is a companion to the FOIA, the Privacy Act, 1, provides civil remedies for individuals whose rights may have been violated. 2. Recognizes the legitimate need to restrict disclosure of some information. 4. Violation pursuant to MCL 15.243, Section 13, subsection A. Information of a personal nature if public disclosure of the information would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of an individual's privacy. Since I first learned that my personal and private information, especially my address and private unpublished cell phone number, is now circulating God knows where, and we all know about bogus text messages and stuff, and who is in possession of it, because of this, I find myself suffering from mental anguish, all because the FOIA agent for the city did not do their job. Madam Mayor, I am strongly demanding that you and council direct the city manager to reprimand the employee responsible for not redacting my personal and private information.
Rule.
Okay.
I'm wrapping it up, Mr. Miller. This matter is causing me undue stress. I reserve my rights to exercise any and all judicial remedies available to me. All parties are hereby put on notice. And Madam Mayor, I don't have a problem with my name. Everybody knows who I am. Pretty much everyone knows where I live. But the thing is, my cell phone number is out there, and I don't want to have to go through the expense. I'm not going to, because then I'd have to telephone. You know how it is, you got a call list. Okay? The problem is that information wasn't redacted. I know copies were sent to everyone. That's fine. It's within the law, and I know Mr. Miller did share with me, and I appreciate his honesty, which he always has given me. I did not know, pursuant to law, that you could FOIA a FOIA.
Okay.
I didn't know that. So, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. Move on.
Okay. The next item is item 9. Items. Oh,
Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
I didn't see. I'm sorry.
Farmer's name.
I apologize.
It's okay. 4361 4th Street. I'm lying. I am on Laurenwood Drive, and I'm here to ask you folks, who's in charge of your blight control? Now, I know they're going to say Brandon, but that don't get it. Brandon is just a peon for you people. So therefore, who's going to take care of the blight in the city of Wayne? That's what I want to know. That's number one. My parents passed away, and currently I'm cleaning up the mess. Not at their house, but next door. I should have had some pictures ready for you tonight, but I didn't do it. I complained to Brandon. His hands are tied. He knows it, and I know it. I'm giving you a warning because I can do it, and people who know me know I can do this. So I'm telling you, you're the city attorney. If you don't take care of the blight in the city of Wayne, you're going to have troubles, okay? That's number one. Number two, you are a conflict of interest, sir. I have somebody watching this right now. I golf with this gentleman who advertises on TV.
Please, we don't.
Okay,
we will not allow any personal attacks.
There are no personal attacks. There are no threats, and you're borderline right now, Mr. Farmer.
Conflict of interest anytime you're on a city council.
I don't. Mr. Farmer, please. There are no personal attacks, and I wish you wouldn't point.
All right, sorry about that. Anyway, I'm just basically here to tell you that, are any of you business owners here? I know what you do, and I know the houses you own in Wayne. I know all this stuff. You know that. You people have never been in business before, and I'm back there. I haven't been to a city council meeting in 25 years when I got Shirley Pauser elected. I also ran a recall committee, and she knows this. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I pointed. I'm going to be very mild-mannered. You people are not business people. You don't know really about business. I own a multi-million-dollar business. Currently, I'm semi-retired. Everything's cool. But I'm telling you, you people, as I stood back there and watched you, you just go through the motions. You let people stand up here and do accolades and support people and support groups. What are you doing for the people of the city of Wayne? What are you really doing about the blight? This city has a lot of blight. Where I live, Sue Rice had the nerve to tell me I had a flat tire. I pumped it up Sunday night. Now that's what you call, there's no words to describe it. So I'd wake up if I were you people. I really would. I really would. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Is there anyone else? Sorry, John.
Okay.
Move the agenda.
The next item is item 10, consent calendar. There are 12 items before you.
Wish of council?
Move without exception.
It's been moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Any questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I think we skipped items for the next agenda.
Oh,
yeah,
we did. I'm sorry. Item 9, I'm sorry.
Do we have any items for the next agenda?
I do.
Yes.
I know school will be out, but I would like us to invite the Wayne ethics team that won the state championship to get something from us and congratulate them on becoming state champions.
Okay.
And there's not very many of them.
Okay. If you have any, their names or that, if you could give that to the city clerk.
We do need to have that.
Yep.
If this is going to be a request.
Yep.
I need all that information.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? No? All right. Now we can move on to the consent.
Yep. We had a motion from Mr. Porter, supported by Mr. Miller.
Mm-hmm. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item. Comments from city council members? Okay. All right. We'll start with Councilman Gabriel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing tonight.
Okay. And then Councilman Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry Mr. Farmer left because I'd like them to heard this. Seeing as how we just sit up here and make these irrational decisions, I guess we call it. I'd like to talk just a minute about how I come to make my decisions, because as you notice, very seldom do I ask questions. I think the city manager won't agree with that because it's usually in an email Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. As this week, probably 20 questions.
At least.
And then if I don't get what I like or something I don't understand, I re-email or I call her or whatever, and she goes to the appropriate department head, gets my answers, and sends them back to me. That's how I make my decisions, in case everybody's wondering, how do you sit up there and not ask any questions? That's how I do it. I ask my questions beforehand. I do my due diligence way before this council meeting. Occasionally I'll have a question, but usually the questions that are asked I've already asked, so I know the answers. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will vouch for that because I get copied on all of his questions, and he does send a lot. And actually, everybody up here, we question and ask questions of the city manager on practically every item sometimes on the agenda. So we are all up here doing our homework. We just don't want to drag out these council meetings more than they need to be when we can get this information ahead of time. So, Councilman Webster, congratulations.
Thank you. Lenny Powell passed this to me prior to the meeting, so I wanted to go ahead and read this. He is hosting a fundraiser for Naomi and Dominic, forgive me for mispronouncing his last name, but Uselman, I believe. If you don't know who these people are, Naomi and her 13-year-old son Dominic were struck and killed on May 8, 2018 in Belleville at the intersection of Belleville and Ecorse Roads when a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed rear-ended them, pushing them into the intersection to get hit on both sides, which resulted in their car bursting into flames, killing them instantly. Dominic and his twin brother attended school at Franklin Middle School in Wayne and played basketball at the Salvation Army in Westland. So anything anyone can do to help this family. This will be a fundraiser held on Sunday, May 27th, 2018 from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at US 12. It's $20 per person. It's going to include a spaghetti dinner roll, salad, and a drink, and there will be a raffle and a 50-50. So if you'd like to attend, please come out and support this family in their time of need. Next thing, I want to thank all the voters that came out. I appreciate all your support. In terms of what you came up here and said, Bob, thank you for everything you did. It was worth everything that I went through. You know, it was a nasty race, and a lot of things were said, but at the end of the day, it was all worth it, and I don't regret coming up here for the appointment. I don't regret running in the recall election. I don't regret anything that happened. So thank you everyone for your support.
Councilman Racy.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to just congratulate you, Jeremiah. You held yourself together very well, in the midst of some really nasty stuff, and I appreciate everything that you went through. And I also want to thank Bob and the people that took it upon themselves to do stuff that our council was not able to do, and in my opinion, did the right thing for our community. But I also wanted to mention, I got an email. We need to find out more information about it, but it's my understanding that the Wayne Memorial High School is looking to do something, honor veterans, on the, I have the date here somewhere, on the same Sunday that normally would be, I believe. But we need to find out more information about that. But they want to still do something because of it's the last time that their kids are able to be in full uniform. Also the JROTC, it's something that I think that is important, that we still remember to do something for our veterans over Memorial Day, and I appreciated seeing this, but I need to find out more information. I just wanted to mention that there's something, some people are trying to do something, and I appreciate everything that the Veterans Committee has done over the years. I've attended every single parade since I've been in council with you guys, and it's been a blessing to be a part of it, and it's very humbling to. I don't think everybody understands what it's all about, and the passion that you guys have about remembering our veterans, and it's very noticeable. It's heartfelt, and I appreciate it, everything that you guys have done, and I hope that we are able to do something in the future to continue what you guys have started with that. But I am encouraged that hopefully there'll be still something to remember veterans. I didn't ask, and I can find out afterwards from you guys, if you guys will still be going to all the cemeteries like you normally do on the Saturday beforehand and lay the wreaths that you normally do. I don't think people realize how serious this committee is and dedicated to our community in remembering our veterans. And again, thank you for everything you guys have done.
Council Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Thank you. We had the last week we had postponed because of the rain, because of the Rouge Palooza. The Friends of the Rouge were going to do a cleanup. It was postponed, but it's going to be rescheduled for another date. But entailing to what Lisa Norcina brought up about the Parks and Trails Committee, I am really hoping that this community, and I believe strongly that this is a very strong opportunity for this community as a whole. And there's a meeting that's coming up that kind of entails with it that I would encourage others to go and attend. It's the Lower Rouge Water Trail Public Meeting. And it's actually on Tuesday, June 5th, 6 p.m. It's at the Nakin Mills Nature Center on Ann Arbor Trail in Westland. I think it's an educational opportunity because we happen to have a very strong portion of our community that is ribboned by the Rouge River. And why I bring that up is because the committee of the Parks and Trails would also entail that valuable asset in our community. I also want to bring up about there's ongoing continued improvements in this community going on. If it's not sidewalk repair, or if it's not the Forest and Waltz Park baseball fields happening, or if it's not tonight's presentations about new businesses building here, or presentations of businesses that want to expand here, progress is happening in this community. And I want you not to forget that. Okay? And lastly, I think we were all touched by the Veteran Parade's presentation here. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing that we could probably do, and it's the simplest thing, is put our flag out that weekend. Maybe light a candle, set it on your porch, and just pay remembrance to the ones that we've lost in our own families and our fans' families, our neighbors, of what they've done for so much that we have given granted to as our freedoms, that they've laid down their lives for, or were maimed for life for. So I don't think it's too much to ask this host community to actually put a flag up this Memorial Weekend. Let's show them how much we really do appreciate that. Believe me, I think that actions speak louder than words, and I think that's one action we all can do. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I would like to say one of the things that I really, really enjoy about being mayor of the city of Wayne is going out to various events that I'm asked to come to represent the city, attending meetings and such. I'm always talking about this place. I love this city. And one of the great things that I've been able to do as mayor, I'm asked to attend the award ceremony and change of command at Wayne Memorial High School for the JROTC. I did that last Wednesday night. And folks, we have, there is hope that we have such amazing young people that are going through that program at Wayne Memorial High School. They have such hopes and dreams and goals. They are working towards going to the service academies, the Air Force Academy, to West Point, to Annapolis, the Navy one. I forget the name of it. I think it's Annapolis. But it's just amazing to see them, and they all are high achievers in their education abilities. They are highest in the rankings for their grade points and such. It's always been an honor to do that. So I was able to do that last Wednesday. This week, National Skilled Nursing Care Week actually runs from Mother's Day on Sunday until the 19th. And I was able to go to Maple Manor and do a presentation there and sit and visit with the various residents that are there. And the program is always fun, and the talent that is there with the staff and the care that is given to the residents there by the staff is just very, very heartwarming and very touching for me. Today they had, their theme was strawberries, so everything was red and white and strawberries. And last year it was lemons, so everything was a lemon color, and they had lemonade and lemon veggies and lemon fruits and things. And then also this morning, because it is the National Police Week, I was able to attend the First Responders Memorial Ceremony that was done by Wayne County, and that took place at Haggerty Road in Hines Park. There's a memorial area right there on the corner, and it's done every year, and it's for first responders of police, fire, and EMS personnel. The memorial is a wall, 7 granite panels, each weighing 9,000 pounds, and contains the names of fallen first responders who have lost their lives in the line of duty within Wayne County. It was very, very moving. What everybody sort of chuckled about is it was cloudy and overcast, and then when the very emotional part came, it started to rain. And then when the emotional part was over with, the rain stopped, the clouds opened up, and the sun came out. So it was just a very moving ceremony. And again, I would just like to say thank you to our first responders in our city. You do a great job, and sometimes under some very difficult situations. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.